Publication of the 2017 FIDIC Forms of Contract, I think one can fairly say, is the most important development in international contracting for the last 18 years, when the previous editions were published. FIDIC has published 3 new contracts, new editions of the Red Book, the Yellow Book, and the Silver Book.
They are quite different. They're still recognisably FIDIC contracts, but there are some really quite big changes that people will have to get used to, particularly in claims administration and the dispute resolution provisions.
What FIDIC is trying to do with these new contracts is to give those responsible for administering them far more clarity as to how the contract should operate. Now that's a good thing, and I can see that bringing real benefit to projects.
There are a number of significant achievements in the 2017 forms. The Yellow and Silver Books incorporate for the first time a market standard form of performance liquidated damages. All 3 contracts also include comprehensive and new provisions relating to the contractor's programming obligations. In addition to that, the central role of the engineer has been reinforced. The contracts now provide specific time periods for the engineer to carry out his functions, and he is now, for the first time, under an obligation to act neutrally between the employer and the contractor when he performs his functions. The role of the Dispute Adjudication Board, or as it is now called, the Dispute Avoidance and Adjudication Board, has been reformed. In all 3 contracts, it is a standing board appointed throughout the lifetime of the project, and as its new name implies, it has a dispute avoidance as well as a dispute resolution function.
I think the biggest challenge with the 2017 forms is that they are significantly larger. Some of them are up to 40% bigger in volume than the previous editions. And the first editions have been around for such a long time that everybody's very familiar and comfortable with them. They almost don't need to check a clause to know what it is that they have to do in the time periods for it.
There are many benefits to the changes made in these new FIDIC contracts, but it will remain to be seen whether parties are prepared to commit the necessary resources to administer these more prescriptive contracts, and whether indeed the more prescriptive and thus complex claims resolution provisions indeed help resolve claims more quickly or actually add to disputes relating to the interpretation of those provisions and the compliance with those provisions.
The construction industry, by its very nature, is conservative, and this is not surprising when one has regards to the substantial risks that all project participants undertake when building major projects. As a result of that, I am sure that project participants will continue to use the old forms. Change will therefore take time.